Ocean Avenue, where I used to sit and talk with you. We were both 16 and it felt so right, sleeping all day, staying up all night.
What exactly is considered a success or a failure anymore? What are the criteria that a project, a company, or a band for that matter, must reach in order to be considered still viable? In the entertainment industry, a lot of that depends on who you know and how well you're liked, and not always upon how many units or tickets or Nielsen points you achieved with your latest effort. Yellowcard's 27-year-old lead singer and guitarist Ryan Key is all too familiar with everything the entertainment industry does and doesn't have to offer, and how all of that can sometimes provide just enough kerosene to ignite one's own simmering forest fire. After selling more than 2 million records with their 2003 release Ocean Avenue and reaching number 37 in the top 100 Billboard singles chart, Yellowcard became almost overnight MTV and TRL favorites and advertisement pitchmen. They became one of the few acts to cross over into pop-punk-ish stardom out of the Warped Tour generation, and were officially labeled by just about everyone as a success. Born out of Jacksonville, Florida 10 years ago, and consisting of lead singer and guitarist Key, Sean Mackin on violin and vocals, Peter Mosley on bass and vocals, Longenu Parsons on drums, and Ryan Mendez on guitar and vocals, the band released their follow-up record, 2006 Lights and Sound, a pseudo-concept CD recorded in New York while burnout from living within the LA scene and 18 months of straight touring. The record ended up selling over 1 million copies worldwide, but was still considered by many as somewhat of a failure, even though, due to illegal downloading, very few records ever reach the million-unit mark anymore. Key, in the meantime, suffered from his own successes and failures within himself, as mounting stress caused by industry expectations and a critical press and message board universe took a toll on him. After a 7-month break, the band returned to the stage in late March of this year, announcing that their next record, Paper Walls, would be released this summer. Rejuvenated and now at peace with himself, Key now embraces whatever the future may bring to his band as well as to his personal life. Speaking with him, you get the sense today has a solid sense of clarity now, for as he describes here in our interview, he had to literally unplug to hear what was really going on around him. The new Yellowcard record, Paper Walls, hits the music racks on July 17th, and the band considers this their strongest work yet. We began our conversation with Key, who's a huge Star Wars fan and would-be actor, by talking about one of his favorite subjects, movies. Spider-Man 3. What'd you think?
I almost walked out.
Really? You're the second person who's told me that.
Yeah. It was one of the most disappointing moments I can remember in recent years.
Yeah, it was because they morphed the two characters together with.
They just didn't tell the story right. I mean, as a fan of Spider-Man for many, many years, I knew that they weren't going to be able to tell the whole story of how Venom came to be, because in the original story, Spider-Man was on another planet with Fantastic Four and Thor and all every other Marvel comic character in existence, and they were fighting this intergalactic battle, and the symbiote suit got on him there, and he brought it back to Earth with him. And the first 10 minutes of the movie, when the meteor hit the ground and it climbed out of it, I knew I was in for a horrible, horrible experience.
It's probably about the time when you start slouching in your chair already.
Well,
right?
yeah, and I was in somewhere. We were in we were in Connecticut, I think, and it was a show night before a show day, and we went to the midnight showing on Thursday night.
Shows rock.
And I made everyone go with me. I bought 10 tickets for the whole band, the whole crew, and they're all like, "If this sucks, man, it's all coming down on you." There were other guys that were excited to see it too, but none as much as me, I don't think. And it was so bad. I mean, it was. I don't know.
And it was the most expensive movie ever made, wasn't it?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Yeah,
more than Titanic.
300 million, I think.
Yeah.
And I try not to, I don't want to be a shit talker.
No, sure, right.
But
you're a fan right now. You're a movie fan.
I'm a movie fan, so I guess I'm. If I write a song and people don't like, I guess this is what they say. But, I was just really disappointed. I was really disappointed. I honestly had a lot of trouble when we actually got to when we finally got to the Venom section of the movie, which was the last 10 minutes, and that was the whole reason I was going to see it. Topher Grace was playing Eddie Brock, and every time the suit would open up and Topher's face would come out, I was kind of like, Eric, what are you doing? Wait, where's Fez? You know what I mean? What do you got? You know what I'm saying? It didn't. Not that Topher Grace didn't even play the part well, and I guess that's rough. It's probably rough for him, to be pigeonholed into the character he played for so long. But still, it was
stereotyped, man.
It was hard to stomach, man. And I wanted like the badass Eddie Brock from the comic books that everybody, like this suave, like cool dude, which is why Venom was the way it was. I don't know.
So in comparative, then, what about the Superman series?
I really enjoyed Superman Returns a lot. My biggest thing with that, if I was to be at all critical, would be I actually thought I was going to get more out of Kevin Spacey as Lex Luthor than I got. But I think Brandon, the kid that played Superman, was really good.
How would you rate him compared to Christopher Reeve, what he did?
I don't think you can compare the two. It's been too long.
Really? That's good. It's like a Bond thing.
It's been too long. Yeah, it's a Bond thing. And
what about James Bond? How did you think of that one? Casino Royale.
I haven't seen Casino Royale.
You didn't see Casino Royale?
No, I haven't seen it. Everyone says I've had a lot of people tell me it's the best one ever. And I'm not like a huge Bond guy. I mean, I don't dislike them, but I don't like celebrate the catalog. You know what I mean?
Okay, and one last one on this, because I know you're like a sci-fi fantasy nut in the movies.
Yeah.
What about the Batman series? How they've taken it?
Dude. This is my last piece of my arm here.
All right, cool.
It's my little Batman section. I definitely got out of really loving the films when Schumacher took over and Val Kilmer and George Clooney. It was, it's funny, and I like George Clooney as an actor because he's the first guy to admit, like, I don't know what I was doing playing Batman. He's like, I was really cool when I first got it, but then I realized
he's very humble.
Yeah, he is.
He's very humble.
But I understand where the direction was going, like making it very much more comic book. With like the colors and the real over stylized characters and things that they did after Batman Returns. But I think that the new Christian Bale version is Batman. Michael Keaton was amazing, and I love Tim Burton. Any Tim Burton Danny Elfman combo, I'm there.
Right.
It's not even, you can't even be cool saying that anymore. They're too huge. You know what I mean? Like, but I'm still there. I love it. But most things mainstream, if they're cool, I'm there. I'm that guy. I have no shame. But anyways, I think Christian Bale, that is Batman. That is the Dark Knight. That is, I mean, I was really into one of the series. One of the Batman books called Hush, which
I've heard of it. But I'm not familiar.
Yeah, it came out when I was in high school, and it was like just this really creepy story of this villain that came to Gotham, and he could like he could get in your brain like kind of telepathically or whatever, and so he was bringing up all these super dark memories for Batman and kind of turning him into a bad guy, and but like, or even the Arkham Asylum books or the Dark Knight books, all that. He was like Batman was can I say fuck?
Yeah.
I didn't know for it.
Hey,
Batman was a fucked up dude. Bruce Wayne was a fucked up, tormented, like, guy that was really struggling with the dark places in his life. And
it's like a lot of that, it's kind of like the Alice in Wonderland and stuff like that. I mean, it's like they always kind of turn into this innocent sort of thing, but we really get into it. It's like this stuff was pretty morose at times.
Totally. And I like the story the kind of Dark Knight story they're following with Batman Begins, and now the Dark Knight coming next. I think the whole exodus to find himself and all, actually showing like how he became, you never got that with the first movies, and I think it was a very credible montage, because montages can go wrong.
Well, it seems like they're not writing movies.
Batman.
They're not writing these movies by committee, and I think that's helping.
Right.
They're allowing like one or two writers just to kind of keep it true to the original version they got, and they're filming that version.
Right, and I also think Christian Bale is not the kind of actor that comes in and just says, I'll do whatever. He's
not a personality.
He's very involved in the progress, and I think you know what I mean. Or did I say progress? I meant process, not progress. But both, whatever. But he's very involved. I think he's really hands on, probably from conception to finish.
Right.
So I think the new one's going to be absolutely incredible. I'm personally excited about Heath Ledger playing the Joker. I think he's totally capable, and I've heard really good things. Just in Hollywood, you hear things around of people who saw clips here and there, and supposedly he did an amazing job. So I'm really excited for the new one.
Awesome. Yeah, I just had to ask you about that because I
love it. That's good.
And I imagine are you one of the guys that wishes that Lucas hadn't touched up the Star Wars movies?
Yes, I am. I don't have any original theories on that. I have the same ones everybody else has.
You just didn't like it. That's
I
good.
have the same one as everybody else has. He has kids. he's not the same. He's not the same. It's like being in a band, making a record. There's going to be people who don't like your new work because your life has changed, and you're not going to write the same record 3 times in a row.
All right, now here we go. Now there's a good question. There's a good question because I talk about this a lot with people. What do you think? When does a band have control over their sound versus allowing their fans to control their sound? It's like we got the new MXPX record in the office, and right off the bat, the debate was, well, does it sound like MXPX? And so from a fan's perspective, we're sitting there going, well, are they giving us what they want, what we want?
Right.
And so how do you deal with that as a band that you're trying to evolve and mature and grow, and you're getting changed by your life experiences and things like, now I want to do this, I want to sound like this. Maybe I got into bluegrass and now I want to throw that in there and stuff like that. So how do you kind of like balance that out between giving the audience what they want versus what you want? Should we go back to the comic books?
It's fine. It's a heavy.
I'm sorry. I know, a bit of a
question.
segue, but
I don't know. I mean, did we as a band make a choice on our new record to focus more on not proving something with our music, like not proving that we knew how to write a rock song, that maybe just writing a record and throwing it out there because that's what we did the first time. Yeah, maybe we did a little bit, Lights and Sound. I mean, if you want to use my band as a prime example, we have a couple of indie releases that got, started the buzz about the band. We got signed. We wrote this record called Ocean Avenue, very naively. Is naively a word? With much naivety.
Hey, Shakespeare made up half
with
his
much
words.
with much naivety, maybe is the way to say it.
Hey.
Just writing a record, and then all of a sudden 2 years later it's pushing past 1.5 million records sold, and then long story short, you find out every dream you searched out to try and follow isn't anything that you expected it to be. You fall into this deep black hole of identity crisis and self-indulgence. You start doing drugs for the first time in your life, and you write a whole record about what that experience is. And do your fans who loved your I'm Leaving Home and Following My Dreams record love your I'm struggling with substance abuse and pushing the limits of my own, personal experiences farther than ever as much? Probably not. You know what I mean? And then you come out of that, I've been calling it the black hole kind of that you fall into. Or that I fell into, we fell into, I don't know. You'd have to interview each of us individually probably to find out what that really was for all of us. But you come out of that, and I, for the first time in my life, making this new record, have really, I really sort of figured a lot of things out about myself, and I learned I learned to have a lot more confidence in what I do. And I learned a little bit that finally going through all that stuff we went, all that insane experience we had that we never thought we were going to have, and taking it as far to the top as you could, and then kind of like personally falling to the bottom as far as you'd ever fallen, and doing all that. I mean, it was a hell of a ride, and it was a true life experience that, and finally coming out of that, and for the first time being comfortable in your own skin and making, because really that's what it comes down to, is all that time you're after your band gets huge, and then you do the record that talks about the struggles of being huge. Like you have a lot of issues. I had a lot of issues with self-esteem and confidence. And am I cool? Do people think we're cool? Do people, what do the cred police have to say? But then when you come out of all that and you realize how trivial all that is and how lucky you are to be doing this in the first place, you get real comfortable in your skin and you get real confident what you're doing. Then you make a record, and I think your fans, then you are making a record for both you and them. I think when you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I think there are, to each his own, to each band their own. I mean, some bands absolutely strictly regiment, like, well, this is the style of song we play, and this is, we knew, it's printed everywhere when we wrote Lights and Sounds, that a lot of our fans are probably going to be kind of put, or alienated or disgruntled by what was happening with the music. But when we didn't, and by the time we had finished the record, we just kind of realized that was what was happening. So I think every record has to be different. My favorite bands are bands like Weezer and Radiohead and Green Day, who didn't ever make the same record twice, and I think if you have an open mind to grow and change with the music that you love, you're the best kind of fan of music. I think if you expect to hear the same thing twice, then you're not a very good fan of music.
It probably helps too when you have a support group around you, whether it's your label or whether it's your friends or your managers and stuff like that are allowing you to fail. Allow you to take those chances.
Yeah, sure. And they did. There could have been that whole experience could have gone very differently. Ocean Avenue finishes all of a sudden, and they were very uninvolved in the writing and recording of Ocean Avenue, also because we were kind of a baby band and just wanted to see what we could do. And then it did it. They could have come in and been in the studio every day and been executive producing and none of that. They really just did let us run.
They could have Spider-Man 3'd it.
Absolutely. But then also, when and this has been an issue, it didn't sell as many, and a lot of people want to talk about that, and I say
that's the box office crowd.
Totally, and I say, well, when you're talking about that, Lights and Sounds versus Ocean Avenue, I like to look at it as levels of success, not levels of failure, because we still sold 400-something thousand records, and I'm a kid from Florida that grew up playing music with my best friends, and if you're gonna tell me I failed by selling 400,000 records, then fuck you, And the record label, though, has a bottom line, and going from 2 million to 400,000, I think they may be more prone to use words like failure, not because they're bad people, but because they are a business they have to run.
Exactly.
And so they could have come in on Paper Walls, our new record, and said, well, we gotta get back on track, and again, they didn't. I think they really trusted the band to go in, that everything was going to happen the right way, and we were going to move in the direction we needed to move in.
You were going to be an actor, from what I've read and heard about you.
That was the original plan.
It was original. I was going to be a film director, so I'm with you on that one. So there obviously you're an artist, not only just from a musician, but you think like an artist, you create like an artist, everything, and there's always been a lot of discussion about whether or not artists are subconsciously self-destructive, so that when they're like success fear. So when things are going right, for whatever reason, they self-implode and they just implode, and so everything falls down the toilet, and they got to build themselves back up again, because that's really where the challenge is. It's the fight, it's the building, it's the fighting against the odds, so forth, and so. When you were kind of going through kind of like, taking that left turn, do you kind of feel any of it that was partially that, or was it really you were kind of just getting so wrapped up in that tornado of everything that was going on around, between the people saying this and that, and then the success and the pressures and everything, and it just you just weren't ready for it as a person development?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think
really?
that I think I've always been somewhat of an egomaniacal person just by nature, because I've always been so passionate about creating things and being an entertainer and being a performer and being an artist. And it's the hardest thing in the world, because they ask you not to have, people don't want to think you have an ego, but yet your job is to talk about yourself all day long. Your job is to do interviews and promote yourself all day. So it's not really an ego. And when I say that I'm an egomaniacal person, I just mean that I'm
perceived. Not meant negatively.
Yeah, not negative, not in a negative way.
And
it can be perceived negative. And I always say there's such a fine line, and maybe it's not even being egomaniacal, although everyone listening to this is going to argue that I am probably. But there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance.
There you go.
And being and so. Did the ego get the best of me somewhere in there? Absolutely. Did the whole, I have this grand vision and now I have the opportunity to take it to the place I always wanted to take it, and everything that didn't work, everything I wanted but wasn't happening, I let it just eat me alive, and totally, in the words of, I don't remember, was it Owen Wilson or Vince Vaughn in Wedding Crashers, said, taking a turn to negative town. But I took a turn to negative town for sure. And I try and go through now without regretting it, because I feel like it's made me a stronger person.
I was just going to ask that.
It's made me a better songwriter. It's made me gain a real perspective and focus on my life and my career, and it's bound to happen. There are some artists that are so fortunate to never have to really go through taking any left turns, and they still succeed. You know what I mean?
Right.
They still, but. I did.
Well, at least that we know of.
Right, that I know. Yeah, totally.
Right,
You don't get to hear about it. You don't get to see it. But I did, we did as a group to a certain extent, and I don't regret it. I think it was absolutely essential to the process of growing as a person and becoming an adult, and shedding a lot of those things of realizing that I probably was a bit of an egomaniac for a lot of my life. And only because I was just hyper ambitious, you know, I wanted to take it
So
as
it was
far as I could
necessary.
take it, you know?
So would you tell a band that?
No, I would
Would you
tell a band not
band-
to be that way. Don't be that way. It's
But
not
isn't
the
that
right
what
way.
got you as high as you did? Was because of that?
I don't think so, because I think I'm really lucky that I still get another shot at this, because I think I did burn a lot of bridges and I did a lot of things, as a lot of us do
Really?
when we become successful.
But aren't all those other people trying to eat you alive too? So you kind of have to eat them alive first.
But that's the wrong way to do it.
It's like
you know?
shark.
It's the wrong way to do it.
No?
It's.
Okay.
I mean, I think it may come along with keep your friends closer and your enemies close. You know, for your friends close, but your enemies closer.
Right,
Is the
right.
right way to do it. There is nothing to be gained from speaking negatively of anyone, whether it's an interviewer, another band, and it's really easy to get caught up in that feeling of, well, this band's bigger than my band, and why? Because we work our ass off, and you just develop all these
You end up
negative
getting into
feelings.
that
and
message board theory, right?
Yeah, totally. Exactly. You become like a human message board, and that is not the right way to live at all. And I can't lie that I went through a lot of that time. I was very confused about who I was, yet everyone was already formulating these opinions of who I was. You know what I'm saying? Like
So
at
you-
a time,
so you
your
didn't
most
know what was
development,
real, what
like,
wasn't?
Well, I'm saying at the time in your life when you're developing the most, like your early 20s, you're coming
Yeah.
out of high school
Oh,
and
yeah, sure.
college, and you're really figuring out, who am I as an adult? What do I stand for? You know, you're not like it's not normal. We don't live a normal life. You don't just have your friends and family and that's your community. You have the whole world watching you, and everyone develops and formulates their opinion of who you are.
The band in the
So you're
bubble.
almost reading in a magazine who you are, as opposed to deciding on your own. And I think I got really confused by that. And I was one person one day and another person the next day. And at the core of it, though, I do believe that I'm a good person, and I love the people that support me, and I love the people that are important to me, and I love what we do, and that always was there. You know, it wasn't like I completely lost myself. I just got sidetracked. I don't know. I got distracted, and I was very confused. And like you said, it was a whirlwind. It was, and I think even more than becoming like your typical asshole, it was like it's like you can very easily slip into this phase of, I just want to be alone. I don't want to come off the bus. I don't want to come out of my house. I don't want to talk to anyone. I'm not being mean. I'm not like physically assaulting anyone, or verbally assaulting anyone, or doing anything mean, but people automatically assume, because you're in that spotlight, oh, he's an asshole. Because one guy in his band's out here signing autographs and he's not, or the guys in the other band, the opening band, are out here and they're not, or whatever. I mean, it's a
Perception comes reality.
it's a fascinating way to make a living, because it's, you take someone like my father, who is in the car business. If they don't sell enough cars, then they have to make changes to, they have to fire people, or they have to, there's bottom lines, and there's clear-cut ways to make choices to fix the problems. Our cars that we're trying to sell is like pieces of ourselves, and there's like opinions, and there's ideals, and there's all these,
History.
there's all these other things involved with purchasing what we're trying to sell, and we're trying to sell ourselves. And there's not really a clear-cut bottom line of how to fix that if it's not working, So I don't know. I think I'm grateful that I was able to go, get off the path and go through what's probably and hopefully will be the deepest, darkest time I'll have to go through in my life, and still have the opportunity to be here talking to you and doing it still. Mm-hmm. I could have very easily chosen another road to go on. And I chose to, kind of back to what you were talking about earlier, to come in and get back with this band that I love and these guys that I love, and make a record that, sure, somewhat I'm thinking as we're making it, I really want our fans to be excited about this, because I remember what that felt like. I remember before I kind of fell into my pit of searching out myself, what it felt like at the beginning, early on, when the fans were that was it, the room lighting up was it. And I'd like to see that happen again for us. I'd like to experience that. I'd like to experience that without all that baggage. I'd like to go through it with a smile on my face, and admit to myself I've taken a lot of things for granted and that I never want to live like that again. And that's what this record is.
Well,
And
now you have a filter too.
yeah,
You have a filter to kind of keep out the crap.
Right.
It's like a screen door.
totally. And so, I mean, that's like probably the best advice I can spell out, you know?
So before we take our first music break, you mentioned the lyrics and the songs on this particular record. How, if you could, like, in a very general way, how have they developed? Like, how have they matured, grown from what you were doing before because of all of these things that the incredibly up the ladder and then the whirlwind getting torn around in the tornado? You know, how are they different now?
I don't know exactly how to describe
Even
how
the
they're-
song structure.
I don't know exactly how to describe how they're different, but I can just describe like what they are, and maybe leave it for interpretation on your own.
Well, yeah,
of what
right,
They're
yeah.
different, but there's a strong sense on this record of finding yourself. You know, ending an identity crisis, realizing who you are. Realizing what what it is that you want to be, who it is you want to be. There's a lot of lines, a lot of topics in the record about being exhausted, tired of living one way and wanting to live another way. There's a lot of focus on not specifically relationship songs in a way that Lights and Sounds was pretty much void of them, and Ocean Avenue had only one, and some songs that were very specifically about falling in and out of love with someone. And a lot of the theme on this record is, now I've found myself and I still haven't found anyone else. I still traverse through this adventure by myself, and I hate that. It's something that I write about a lot now, and not being able to share the experience with anyone. As you get older, it's frustrating, and especially because the other guys in the band are married, engaged at this point, but I think it's also kind of like my lot in life. It's my place. It's where I am. In order to show up every day and fight for us and fight for them, and I think in a way I need to be alone.
Are you committing yourself to being eternally single?
I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to commit to it. I'd really like to have something like that and a family. One day. That's something that is important to me. It just right now and for the past 5-6 years, it's Yellowcard. I mean, that's my children. That's my wife. That's everything for me. And there's a lot of that on the record. There's a lot of like, I know what I have to do now, but it's still a little bit frustrating that I feel like I'm going it alone.
Well, as it should be to a certain extent, because if it wasn't a challenge, then there would be no fire in you.
Right. But there's just this sense of looking forward and discovery, I think, on the record. Like, okay, from here on out, what's it gonna be like? I say it's kind of like Return of the Jedi. It's like the last chapter in a trilogy, and I don't mean that in a finite way. Like there's no more Yellowcard records coming. I'm just saying, if you take the 3 records and you look at what each of them meant to us, and then what they meant to the fans, and I think this is kind of like the story of survival at the end of a crazy road we've been on.
So then let's take a music break and give me 2 songs that could be any 2 songs from any bands.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that the lyrics they just mean the most to you, regardless of when you were back on Lobster Records or you were back in Florida or it's right now, that still apply back then as they would now.
Okay.
I know.
Oh man. Okay. First, I would say Ben Folds 5, Evaporated, and mainly the line, I'm sure back home they think I've lost my mind. That is one of the first songs in my life I remember really thinking that this song was written about me. It's pretty high in contention for like all-time favorite song. I don't know, it's a random one to be that, but
it's definitely on the iPod.
Yeah, it gets played a lot. It's just got that sense of leaving to go do something that you're the only one that believes in it, and there's a real reference to his father figure in the song, and I have had a crazy relationship with my own father, and he's been real important to this whole process for me. So anyways, I love that song. And then, God, I mean, one more song to sum me up.
No, just. I'm not holding you to it.
God,
Maybe something that. How about something that kind of. When you're feeling a little lost, that maybe kind of helps you just kind of helps you, kind of go, oh yeah, that's what this is all about again.
right. I don't want to pick another Ben Folds song.
Pick another Ben Folds song. These are your songs. It
I
doesn't
know.
matter. You can shake it up on the second song break. Ben Folds is great.
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's all time for me, you know. I just did a list of like top 20 songs.
Did you? Yeah.
If I had it, I would look at it. Maybe I've got.
Oh, there you go.
Since then.
Yeah, let's do the cheat
Nope,
sheet. That's all for it.
Didn't get it.
Didn't.
Because I'm trying to think. I mean, I have like my favorite song, like Foo Fighters, "Hey Johnny Park." That song, you know. I guess I'll do that one. Lyrically, I'm not sure exactly that it's what you're, you know, it's as intense for me as "Evaporated" would be. But if I need a song to remind me why I love rock and roll, why I love playing guitar, and I love writing music,
This is very relevant. That's great. Yeah.
"Hey Johnny Park" off "The Color and the Shape" by the Foo Fighters. That guitar riff will live in my soul long after I'm gone. You know, dude,
That's perfect.
So
That's perfect. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Let's go hear these. We'll be right back after this.
What I've kept with me and what I've thrown away, and where the hell I've ended up on this glary random day, were the things I really cared about just left along the way for being too pent up and proud. Woke up way too late, feeling hungover and old, and the sun was shining bright. Now I walked barefoot down the road, started thinking about my old man. It seems that all men wanna get into a car and go anywhere. Here I stand, sad and free, and I can't cry, I can't see what I've done. No, God, what have I done? Don't you know I'm a numb man? No, I can't feel a thing at all, 'cause it's all smiles and business these days, and I'm indifferent to the loss. And I faith that there's a soul somewhere that's leading me around. I wonder if she knows which way it's down. Here I stand, sad and free, and I can't cry, and I can't see what I've done. No, God, what have I done? And I poured my heart out. And I poured my heart out. It evaporated. See? Blind man on a canyon's edge of a panoramic scene. Maybe I'm a kite that's flying high and random, dangling a string. They're slumped over in a vacant room, head on a stranger's knee. I'm sure back home they think I've lost my mind. Here I stand, sad and free. I can't cry, and I can't see what I've done. No, God, what have I come and I'll take you under these beautiful bruises, colors. Everything fades in time, it's true. Wish that I had another stab at the undercover. Was it a change in mind for you? It's impossible. I can't let it out. You'll never know. Am I selling you out? Sad and wild. Your every your eyes still remind me of angels that hover above. Eyes that can change from blind to blue. It's impossible. I can't let it out. You'll never know. Am I selling you out? Sad and wild. Your every now that I've found my reward, throw it away long before I share a peace of mind with you.
Welcome back to the AP Podcast. This is Mike Shea. I'm back here with Ryan Key. We've talked a lot about the phases in the band's growth to date and the challenges that you have gone through, but when you kind of take all that out, I mean, take out the spotlight, take out the pressures, take out everything else like that. I've always been more interested in what the band experiences, what bands experience, just the everyday stuff. The mundane stuff that the fans never think about, but it's actually probably the more inspirational, influential moments during a band's career, and that's what you see on the road.
Right.
Because you get to see human life in so many. It's not just the backstage thing and the security guys and the roadies and all that
No,
stuff.
you travel the world.
Yeah, exactly. You see things, and you see you become a. It's like you're always like a Polaroid camera, and I've just kind of wondered, like for you, if there have been those moments. I mean, there was a note online that said that that the band has played 800 shows in 3 years. I don't know how statistically correct that is, but because it is online. But
yeah, that's probably about right. There were a
Is
couple
it really?
years where we did 300 to 320 or so probably in a row, 2 years in a row where we did like that.
So, do you remember anything, no matter where in the world it was, that some site, some person that is not connected to the music industry, something that just, I don't know, you learned something from it. You learned something about yourself. It just kind of changed you somehow as an artist or as a human being that would then eventually, it would lead to you changing as an artist.
I think maybe I have a good story about, it's pretty closely related to the band, but made you was a really one of the most flattering and overwhelming and shocking
Really?
stories that someone that your music had done for someone.
Okay.
There is a gentleman in Las Vegas, Nevada, by the name of Mike Saka, and his son Justin passed away when he was 21.
Oh wow.
And I'm pretty sure if I screw this story up a little bit, it's been a long time since I talked to you, but I'll try and get it close enough so it means what it needs to mean. But his kid was and Mike is in his 40s and came to us after the fact and at a show and came on the bus and had gotten in touch with us through Joe Namo, who was our merch guy, now our tour manager. He's kind of like an ambassador to the fans. It's been really awesome. He's been with us for a long time. And so Mike got a hold of us through him and came to the show and brought some family and friends of his sons and met us after the show to tell us kind of what had happened, the story. And I remember reading the email that we had gotten that sort of told us the story, but he told it all to us again in person. And his son, I think it had been about 6 months. We were touring on Ocean Avenue at the time. And his son was on the way to a rock climbing trip with some friends. And he called his father and said, "Dad," and I guess Mike was having a lot of trouble at work. He was kind of in a real low place, and he and his son were really close, and they would go to shows together and stuff. They had actually come to a Yellowcard show before together and things. So he said, "Dad, I think you should go you need to go pick up the new Yellowcard record immediately, because there's a song on the record called 'Life of a Salesman,' which is a song that I wrote when my father and I's relationship kind of finally came back to a place that was better than you could ever imagine it being, and had gone from being worse than you ever thought it could be." So he said, "You need to listen to the song, because it's gonna make you feel better, and it's gonna make you, because I think some to the effect of you're gonna be fine. And I found this song, I came across this song, and we like this band, so you should go get the record." So Justin left for his rock climbing trip, and his dad, this is the day of, his dad went to Best Buy and picked up the record and was sitting out in his truck listening to the record right after he bought it, listening to the song. And the police department, whoever that got up to Justin died that day while rock climbing. He fell and died. And they discovered that his time of death was within 15, 20 minutes of when his dad had purchased the record and was listening to the song in the car. And Mike came to us and amazingly told us this entire story through no tears. He was very
worked through it.
Very collected, and told us that the album and that song in particular was the single reason that he did not follow his son wherever he went. That we had helped. We had literally been a survival tool for his life. And I mean, at that point, you realize like exactly what it is. And I almost wish that story had happened now, because my mind is so much more clear now. And I feel like it would have, even as much as it impacted me then, it would hit me even hard. It would have meant even more to me now to experience it, because there's so many things that I'm not worried about that I was worried about then. And I guess that was my point, is a story like that puts into perspective, I don't care what a magazine thinks about my band. I don't care what some disgruntled kid that, that thinks we're not punk rock, thinks, because we're not punk rock. Okay. You don't think we're punk rock? Well, we're not. So, you realize those things are so...
You're taking all the fun out of it, though.
So, sorry, but those things are so meaningless compared to what the reality of the situation is, which is that this thing you're creating, this music, is providing for people something you can barely provide for yourself. Sometimes I think. I mean, I write the stuff, and it's been somewhat of a therapy, a therapeutic experience for me to write music in my life, but never in the way that I think it hits someone like Mike Saka in Las Vegas. So,
and that's only the person that you heard from.
Yeah.
What about all the people that you haven't heard from?
Exactly.
Yet?
So, those are kind of the stories on the road that stand out are ones like that.
I always kind of wonder, though. It's like like when screenwriters sit down and they go, or even comic book people, they sit down and they want to start going, I want to make something. It's like, I want to do something for me, but I want to do something that changes things. It inspires. I want to make a difference. Yeah. So how do you, as a songwriter, as a member of a band that's continually trying to evolve in your sound and your music, how do you keep yourself from kind of overdoing it in that respect? Where you kind of you focus too much more on, well, is this going to be catchy enough? Is this going to make an impact enough? Versus something that is more true to yourself from within. Mm-hmm. How do you balance that out? Do you kind of sit there and put it away for the night and come back to the next morning and go, wow, I was being...
Yeah, there's a lot of days when we're working, me and out of everyone in the band, it's definitely my place to be the guy that's like, this sucks. This is let's just start over. And then everyone's like, oh, here he goes again, But for the most part, that'll be after a 6-hour day of working. And I'm a freak show, man. There'll be a day where I'm just so amped, this is the best fucking song we've ever written. And then the next day, the same song, we'll play through it a couple times. I'll be like, I'm so not into it, And the guys, everyone else in Yellowcard, I feel sorry for them sometimes that they have to deal with that, because at the end of the day, that's what I put it away and then come back to it. And when the record is done, the sense of pride and happiness that comes over you to say, wow, look what we created. It's overwhelming, and it's always good,
Have there been many songs that you've kind of had to, after you've already recorded them and put them on a record, that for you just would prefer to put them in the drawer and never open up that drawer again? Has there been those kind of regrets? Any regrets like that?
Yeah,
and maybe this is because you've grown since then. And
and I don't, and here's the thing: I don't want to get too specific with that,
I understand
because some of those songs for me might be songs that someone that really loves our band, adores those songs. But are there songs that I look back and say, man, I either could have put a different twist on that, or probably could have done something better, or are they there? Yes, but the sort of reinvention of myself is trying not to. A few years ago, I was probably thinking like that all the time. And I don't. It's done. What's done is done. It's on the record, and somebody likes it, and we're getting to make new records, and you keep trying every time. And I'm really trying to take that attitude towards it, and not regret what it is that we've done.
So with that same kind of line of thought, but let's take it back onto the stage format now. Instead of putting it in the drawer, let's put it back up on the stage now, where there's no doubt that as a band really hits that stride and you start getting the 1.5 million records and stuff, you're starting to get the peripheral people, the peripheral fans that heard the single, they heard the song on the commercial, the VCast commercial. Maybe they heard this over here in the soundtrack. Right.
Fans like me, to be honest.
Okay. All right. Right.
I'm
so
a lot like that.
They kind of catch it and they go, I want to check out the rest of this. So they go buy the record, or they get it off iTunes, whatever. And then they're coming to the show just to hear the 1 or 2 songs that they grew. And then the next time they see you, they want to hear those songs again. So, but for you as a musician, I'm thinking of Sinatra hated after a while doing My Way. He couldn't
Right.
stand it. And I've read stories that Sammy Davis Jr. didn't want to do Candyman. He hated the song originally. And
Right.
so you got to figure these guys are going on to Vegas and they're going on tours all the time. And they're playing the same. They got to sing it. They have to sing it. So how do you, if there are those sorts of songs where you're kind of like, you know what, I've moved on from this, or this is, I'm past this. How do you go on as a musician every night and play? It's usually the encore songs. Where you got to give them what they want. And how do you make it different so that you actually enjoy it and you don't come across as a staged Vegas act saying, hey, here's your deal. I want to go back and get my foot rubbed.
Just look out, look upon them as it's happening.
That's it. Like, so let the
Dude, I mean, the first time we played Ocean Avenue in Sao Paulo, Brazil at the Mix Festival in front of 46,000 people. Need I say more? I never, ever get up there and think, oh man, we have to play Ocean Avenue again. I am proud of that song. I am proud of the career it's given me. I have no shame that we wrote a 3-chord pop song and are able to sustain a career off of it. I'd like to have more songs that are as successful as that one. Certainly, I would really. I hope that a couple of the songs on our new record are able to transcend to that level of success. Also, if they don't, I'm still gonna love that song just as much, because every time you play that song, there is a reason why there is a reason why people identified with it the way that they did, and not every other song on that record. And when you play it, and it is. You can't describe. You can't. I actually, good version of that is we just did Bamboozle in New Jersey.
Yeah,
and we haven't done a show like that, a scene show, so to speak, in a long
I thought
time.
you had done one before, no?
What?
I thought you had done one.
Yeah, no,
about
but
a
we
year
just
ago.
haven't done a long.
In a
We've
while.
been making
In a
the
while.
record,
Okay,
and we
right.
didn't
All
really
right,
do
I
anything like that on Lights and Sounds. We didn't do Warped Tour. We didn't. It's been a long time since we played with Brand New and Taking Back Sunday and Jack's Mannequin and the bands, guys our age, do thrice. The bands doing what we do. All of us kind of came up together at the same time. I hate the scene thing, but whatever.
No, it's all good.
It is a scene. You cannot deny it. It is a group of bands that have all come up doing this thing together, and that's why we all play Bamboozle together. You can't deny it. Otherwise, we wouldn't be on the same show.
Well, it's a family reunion.
But yeah. So anyways, but that wasn't the point of the story. The point was when we got up to play, our in-ear monitors were there was a big problem with them, and this would have been during the dark years. I would have been probably one of the worst shows we've ever played in my life, because I just would have been a fucking head case.
So it would have been worse because you would have made it worse.
What am I paying you for? What the fa blah blah? You know what I mean? That would have been the attitude.
Pulling a Buddy Rich, right?
Totally. But that day, there's 20,000 kids out there. It's time to play. I'm seriously at a point in my life where it's like, okay, fuck it. They don't work. Like, and I get it. I've been through what it's like when they don't work and you treat it the wrong and you react the wrong way. So let's react the right way. Pull the in-ears out. Just said, throw a shitload of my guitar and my vocal on the floor wedges, and we're going to go for it. And for the first time in many, 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 many moons, I heard the crowd singing when we played Ocean Avenue, because usually I have my in-ear monitors in. And we have crowd mics, but it's not the same. And it's been the first time in probably 4 years since that song was written and performed that I've really, heard in an organic, nothing, no, my ears weren't plugged. I could hear all, the place singing. And we totally decided before the show this is where we are now. We decided we're going to play that song last. You know what? Everyone's going to wait the whole show to hear that song. Let's give them what they want. What do we have? Why not? Why play, why would we not play it? Or why would we, play it first just to get it over with? Like, it's going to be the most exciting moment of the show. Let's have it. Let's enjoy it. Let's take it in. And the second that first verse started, dude, there's a place off Ocean Avenue. It was a wall of sound. I mean, it was the entire place. And it was the first time in a long time I could hear it. And that's it. That's the best way to answer the question. So Ocean Avenue became a brand new song in that moment for me, even though I've played it thousands of times.
I think there's I don't know if it's a metaphor, but there's something there where you had to unplug your ears to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. I had to take my monitors out to hear it for real.
I mean, yeah, it's just amazing. It's absolutely amazing. We're gonna take a second music break here, and then we'll wrap this up. And I just briefly name the 2 songs that you sing along to.
2 songs.
So you're the fan in the audience, and you're singing along.
There's a Pearl Jam song called Nothing Man that when I was in high school and, you know, my first love and lost my virginity and all that time of your life. And I did my typical thing that I still do today, which is get to that point and then just walk away from it. I don't know why. I freak out.
You mean in relationships?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I freak out and I drop it and move on and just totally turn my back on it. Like, it's almost like this sense of there's something else out there and I don't want to miss out on it or something.
What's over the hill?
Yeah, what's over the hill, exactly. What's on the other side of the fence. And this song is about, is kind of about that happening and about her not wanting you to, when you want to come back, she doesn't want you anymore. And I think it's the best written song. Everybody's written that song 1,000 times. But I think Pearl Jam Nothing Man is the best version of coming back and not being wanted anymore. You know, of ruining a relationship. And then there's the best line, and I'm thinking actually about getting, I have some Weezer lyrics tattooed on me, and if I was ever going to get any other lyrics on me tattooed, there's a line in that song that says, caught a bolt of lightning, cursed the day he let it go. And it's always just been like such a huge, huge thing for me, that line in that song. So anyways, that I drive around just still to this day, and that record came out when I was 17, 16. No, not even. Jesus, that record came out when I was like 14. and yeah, I had to have been in 9th grade, so I was 14, 15 when that came out. And, you know, 12 years later, I still, that song, I love singing that song. The way it's written, it starts real low, and by the end of it, he's just full Eddie Vedder wailing at the top of his voice, you know, flat as shit, just hanging it out there. So good. So that's a good one.
That's a great one. That's a great one.
And then another song I really sing along to. You know what? I'm gonna do it because I love this band and I don't care.
It doesn't matter.
There's a song on the self-titled Third Eye Blind record that also came out when I was like 16. It's one of my all-time favorite records, all-time. Like, hands down, Desert Island record. And the song is called The Background.
Okay.
And the melody in that song is, I remember when I was in high school and really starting to take music a lot more seriously and learning how to sing harmonies to the records in places where there weren't already harmonies, you know, making up my own. That record as a whole, I would just always just wail, you know, a third or a fifth above him and sing a harmony through the entire song. But that song, that melody, is just, it's really haunting, and I think the lyrics of the song are really haunting. You know, about someone that you wish you could have had more with, but it's too late because they're gone, and you're never gonna get to tell them how you really feel. I think that's a beautiful song and an incredible record. So there you go. Third Eye Blind, The Background.
We'll be right back after this.
Once divided, nothing left to subtract. Some words when spoken can't be taken back. Walks on his own with thoughts he can't help thinking. Futures above, but in the past he's slow and sinking. Caught a bolt of lightning, cursed the day he let it go. Nothing there, Nothing's left inside the well, and you forget will be destined to remember. Nothing left, nothing left.
Third Eye Blind is just like you love him or hate him.
Oh yeah,
You know what I
sure.
mean? I've had people tell people that I like it, and they're like, "Dude, you're so lame." But
Panic at the Disco. We got a number of letters from readers saying they couldn't respect Panic at the Disco because Panic at the Disco loved Third Eye Blind.
really,
Yeah.
great.
It's
So
strange.
see, there you go. I just crucified myself. Everyone, you like that? No
Well,
fear,
that's-
no fear here.
Only if you're planning to be the next Panic at the Disco.
No,
you
I'm
don't
not.
have to worry about it. So.
I'm not though.
Who was your worst customer you ever had to deal with at Chili's?
Worst.
Everybody's got their
customer.
worst waiting story. Were you a waiter? First of all, I had heard that you
Yes.
were a waiter. You were a waiter.
I was a waiter, but I ended up actually working in the kitchen, working the fryer because
Oh, you got smart.
I liked it better back then. Yeah, and I got overtime, and it was
Oh, perfect. So what was do you remember? What was your worst customer that just sat there and you said that this is the reason why I hate the human race? Everybody's got their bad one.
Yeah, I don't remember I don't remember a specific story.
If you got names too, go ahead.
When you work at when you work at a chain restaurant like that, you get that guy every day. You know what I mean?
Right.
The guy that's ribeye is cooked too much or too little comes in every day, and instead of just saying, "Hey, could you throw this back on the grill?" or "It's a little overcooked, man. I'm sorry." I always start by saying, "I hate to, I did this forever. I hate to do this to you, but it's a little overcooked or whatever." There's always the guy that wants to make your life a living hell because you personally took his order, went back around
Sure.
around the island in the back and cooked, mashed the steak on the grill and overcooked it and brought it back to him because, they just make your life living hell.
Just because you didn't like his eyebrows.
Yeah, I
Right.
do remember one time I threw a fistful of really hot, fresh French fries through the window at the ticket window
Yeah.
at a waitress, and she started crying, and I got suspended for a day or two. But
And was that out of fun or was that out
no,
of...
it was the last time I wanted to hear her come by and say, "Where are my fucking fries?" when I had so many tickets in my face I couldn't even see her through the window. When the fries are ready, the fries are going to be there. I'm not making your fries. I'm not choosing to not make the French fries right now. So I finally just said, "Here's your fucking fries," and I threw them at her, and she got real upset. I think they were kind of hot. But it was Saturday night at 9:00.
You don't even want to be there at that point, right?
Dude, everybody, the flat top guy and the salad nacho guy and the fry guys, our tickets are all now merging together because you're hanging them up as fast as you can, and it's that dude. You learn a lot about yourself working that job.
But I bet
as
you
a
know how
young
to
man.
cook really well.
Yeah, Sean, our violin player, is totally the Mr. Chef, man.
Really? Okay, so he's the
we're
Food
talking
Network
about
guy.
maybe opening a restaurant together someday if we can, and I'm gonna let him do the menu, and I'm gonna be like the feng shui guy that makes the
all right.
restaurant cool.
Okay.
But I worked the fryer. I dropped chicken fingers in grease and served them up. So
We all have our talents.
yeah, exactly. I wasn't like creating dishes. You know what I mean?
Well, you got to start from somewhere,
Yeah.
so it's all good for you. I just had to ask you that because I just,
It was an important time.
It is
of
an
your-
important
of your
time. You
life.
learn a lot about people
Yeah.
for that. So let's go back to let's talk about that waitress actually for a second because this kind of ties into it because you brought it up previously and I think this is something that I never hear bands talk about and that is, and it sounds like you're kind of going through this right now, but it's this burned bridges moment where you're going
Mm-hmm.
back, and so when an artist, as happens to managers too. Managers have to do this, where for whatever reason something went wrong and they pissed off a lot of people. They played their cards the wrong way, whatever.
Which I did. No
Okay.
lie.
Okay.
There were a lot of people not hip to the yellow card thing because I was having a bad day or something, whatever.
So I know it sounds easier than it actually is to do.
Mm-hmm.
So is it a matter of just trying to, like you walk into a club or you walk into a scenario and everybody there hates your guts because of something that happened 3 years ago or something.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do?
You don't, at least the attitude I've sort of been.
Are you kind of going in there with your tail in between your legs and you just...
No, you just, provided that you're in a better place in your life.
Sure,
and
well,
you,
but
and
it-
you
but
know
you
you made
are.
a
You say
mistake,
you are,
right?
yeah,
you know
yeah,
that you've
yeah.
made mistakes, and you know that you've
Right.
upset someone or been someone done something you're not proud of, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
for reasons. And I go back to what I was talking about earlier, for reasons that I feel were totally out of my control, and I wish I had handled a lot of things
Right.
better, but there were so many things happening to me at one time that I really did just lose control. Somewhat. So now when you go in and especially if you know it's a situation that's been bad, you just be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I said, I do know and believe that I am a good person and that there's a lot of love in me for the people that do support us and support me in my life, whether it's my family, my friends, or the promoter at a club that keeps having us back. And if you show up and just be yourself, you don't go and you don't defend yourself and you don't apologize and you don't, just be yourself and show them that you're still here and you still believe in what you're doing and the experience this time is better. I mean, at that point, if you walk away and the person's still holding a grudge or still has an attitude or still feels some sort of negativity towards you, then you're the better person at that point. Because I don't think that. I think you just have to be yourself. You have to, if you're in a better place in your life, when you're put in a situation like that, face to face with someone you know that you've upset or has a negative opinion of you, give them a reason not to have that opinion anymore. And the only way to do that is just be yourself and let them have a good experience with you this time. Nobody wants to hear about what happened before. I believe that they don't really want to talk about it. It's a much more lasting experience if you leave the club and that promoter says, man, that guy was so good to work with this time, and that's it. Then you're good to go. And like I said, if they can't forgive you and they can't find the good in that, then you're the better person. Because a lot of the things that you do along the way that upset people like that, you don't even realize you're doing them. It's like I said, it's a not getting off the bus because you have a cold. And you realize now, if I got a cold, I should probably still make an effort to just do everything I can, not everything I can't, which is what I would have done before. Not using it as an excuse to do everything I can't. So when you find that, just be yourself, and I think the rest falls into place.
So let's talk about some optimism. Let's talk about, because we've talked a lot about being in those dark places and stuff like that. But being a musician right now, being in a band right now, has got to be, from the bands I've spoken to, has got to be one of the most challenging but yet exciting times in the music industry's history at this point, because of everything changing so fast.
Well, everybody's wondering if we are too early for what's coming next, if we're too late, as in like we're too old and the younger kids are going to get it now, the 20-year-olds are going to get what's coming next, or if we are a part of it. That's what everybody's wondering. Did we miss it? Are we making it? Or, you know what I mean? Like it's,
but even
because something's changing.
It's huge.
We're part of something.
Yeah.
That's happening, and you just.
So what excites you now with the way technology and, you got between iPods and iTunes and the iPhone, and then you've got, the internet radio, and you've got, look at this thing, the podcasts, and you've got the way that even the concert experience is changing, and the merchandise, and how bands are starting to control their own careers a lot more. You got the labels changing their systems, and some are going away, and some are consolidating, and some are having to innovate for the first time in a very long time. Downsizing is going on. So it seems real exciting. It's scary as hell, but it's exciting. So what out of all of this makes you excited? Like, God, this is cool.
Right. I think it's a lot of it is absolutely perfectly in tune with everything we've been talking about, the path and the journey and the up and down and back up again, whatever it is. The melding of art and commerce, that is an exciting thing. I don't rest on any kind of laurels that say, well, if too many people listen to our band, then we're selling out. I don't subscribe to that mentality. When I was 6 years old, I was putting on Michael Jackson concerts in my living room, and
that's awesome.
And you know what I'm saying? I wanted to entertain as many people. I wanted to inspire and entertain as many people as I possibly could.
Did you have a whole
life.
stage?
I would build and make one, out
of the couch,
like sheets, and use the flashlights for the lights. Yeah, totally.
Oh, all right,
and
cool.
Full on. I mean, it was either that, and then we went into putting on Def Leppard shows, and then it was Guns N' Roses shows.
That's a change.
But, as you got older. But the first record I ever bought with my own money was Michael Jackson Bad, So I would whatever. But I was just always moving and singing and doing something, So that said, I'm excited to just be a part of it, of whatever's happening. We missed, example, Yellowcard absolutely missed the MySpace boat. Ocean Avenue was very pre Lights and Sounds was during, like we were writing and recording while everyone else was we're in a weird cycle with a lot of other bands that are that tour like we tour and play the kind of music we
If you
play.
go to MySpace now, you've got all the videos.
Well,
up,
that's
and
what I'm
you've got
saying.
the making of the video.
And so now it's something that I'm having to train myself to get involved in, but the results are incredible. I mean, the shows that we've played, and I don't know if it's because we've been gone for a while and we're coming back now or whatever, but the shows we played over the last couple months, just little one-off shows, flying out on the weekends, have been 1,500, 2,000 people, and even last summer, touring for Lights and Sounds, we were playing for 800, 1,200 people. I mean, there's a noticeable increase in people coming out to see the band, and I have to believe it's because we've been on that website, like answering every message and keeping everybody updated. We did video updates once a week from the studio. I think it really did create a way to bring back people who maybe didn't come along with Lights and Sounds without even having to hear any new music. It was just, there's, for whatever reason they didn't come along with the last record, they were able to realize there's that band, Yellowcard, that I love and remember. And, so it's amazing. It's exciting to see the numbers of like, wow, look at how many people are coming through this website and look at how much progress we're making just by being proactive and doing it ourselves. And there's just so many opportunities right now to be a part of. And I've always just, I just want to take this, like, I want to reach for the stars with this whole thing and then be happy with what I get this time, at least, I can look back and say that I know that I've taken a lot for granted throughout this process, and I definitely don't want to live like that anymore. And so whatever opportunities present themselves with new technology or new ways to promote our band, we as a band are very open-minded to experiencing that and being a part of it.
If your label came back to you and said, you know what, we're changing our business model a little bit. We're gonna start trying something different. We want to release the next record after this one, digital only. How would you feel about that?
Okay, I mean, sure, why not?
So you're not missing. Okay, now all right. So let's take it to the next level now.
Do I miss it? Yeah, sure. But do I understand? Like I said, the sort of melding. Like, do I miss the hard copy of
Yeah.
Do I miss that people don't go out and I don't and find happiness in unwrapping the plastic and pulling out the lyrics? And yeah, I do personally. But I'm 27 years old. I was doing that for the most part when I was 16, 17 years old. Really getting off on buying records. 16 and 17-year-old kids now get off on buying records a different way. You can make a choice to be angry and disgruntled and old-fashioned at that, or you can make a choice to understand that's the way it is. What do we need to do to be a record they're getting off on? And if that meant releasing a digital record, then so be it.
Just to kind of show you how everything's been changing from the time that you recorded the past record to currently. I was discussing this. There seems like the whole concept of record release dates, of when you're trying text messages. I love it when I have it on vibrate. But the whole idea of the big record release date at midnight tonight, blah blah, is dead.
Yep.
And a lot of it's because of the internet.
Yep.
The leaking of the songs has kind of killed it all.
Yep.
So, how would you feel if? So the theory is, well, why not, instead of just waiting a whole year or a year and a half to give your fans one whole record, why don't you just release a new song every month?
Right.
Do you think that kind of?
I have a theory that I've come up with, but I'm afraid to say it to anyone ever because I'm afraid someone's gonna steal it.
All right. Well then, all right. Okay, I can respect that.
But it's very much
Edison
like
did that, right?
Very much like that, like a time release sleeping pill, or a time release pain reliever, like
12-hour cold medicine, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very much like that. I think that could absolutely be the way of the future. Could be the way of the past, because when recording music first started, you didn't buy albums. You bought
78s.
Two songs at a time, one on the front, one on the back.
Right.
And that the whole people get so caught up now on the word single, and how that's like the ultimate like sellout word. It's single. What's your single gonna be? How's your single doing, bro?
It used to be video.
Right, but now it's single, right?
Right.
Well, that at its conception, rock and roll music was only singles. I think people, it's like you can bitch all you want about all this stuff, but like it's all come and gone and been here and gone away. Like the coolest bands in the world put out singles and the lamest bands in the world put out singles. Like the most punk rock bands in the world have gold records or platinum records, and then the least punk rock bands in the world have. It's like you can't. The judgment in rock and roll music is just one of the most ruthless emotions on earth, I think. And it's like, I think that right now it's pretty much an empty canvas. That everything is changing. Record companies are merging. People are getting fired by the gajillion. It's an insane time in music, and something has to, Big Bang Theory. Something has to create. Something has to happen. It can't just go away. People aren't going to stop listening to music, And if it comes to a point where everyone stops buying records altogether and no one's making any money playing music, it'll hit ground zero because we'll start getting really shitty music. You know what I mean? Because no one's going to be able to focus their entire life on making good music because they're not going to be able to make a living doing it. That's my theory. I mean, at some point it'll reach the bottom. It'll zero mass or whatever. It'll start over.
So are you optimistic overall, being a musician?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it would take a whole lot to. It would take a whole lot of negativity and a whole string of horrible events for us not to have the opportunity to do this and make a living at it. We've gotten to a place where we can really sustain a career playing music together, and it would have to be an earth-shattering event to stop that. So that in that respect, I'm very optimistic because I know even right now we're about to put out a new record. I got another 2 years of my life to experience and work and make money and make money doing what I love. I mean, we're not millionaires by any stretch, but we're able to sustain a comfortable lifestyle doing what we love to do. And who isn't that what everyone on earth really wants to do? I mean, it should be anyways. Do what you love to do.
Final question. Is 30 years old? Because when you're 20, you say 30 is old. But now you're 28.
Yes, I think it is.
It's still old.
I feel like being on the road since I was 19, I get 2 years for everybody's one.
Good point. Yeah.
I look back on what at 30, which is 2.5 years from now for me. And I'm sure that's a point where it's a point where you look back and go, I'm not 21 anymore. We're not riding around in a van, with not a care in the world anymore. For me, it's just the level of responsibility that has come with passing through my 20s and coming into 30. I don't feel old. I don't act old. But sometimes you fall into realizing how much more responsibility you have in your life, and you can't help but think that you're. I don't think old is the right word. Adult. I'm like officially an adult. I'm no longer, I'm no longer figuring out who I am. Like I got it. I'm here. It's time to take on adulthood, to its fullest. So I mean, 30 is it's a landmark. I don't know. High school is definitely gone at that point. You hold on as long as you can. You do. Especially we didn't go to college. I tried a couple times, but ended up doing the band thing mostly through trying to get the band started through when I would have gone to college. So
your 10-year reunion's next year.
Yes, it is. So when you don't have college, what do you hold? What youthful memories do you hold on to? It's high school, and our high school experience was so intense because we went to Fame. Our school was like the movie Fame. I mean, it was an arts high school. It was like this insane environment of creativity, and it was where your cliques at a normal school are the football players and the computer class guys or whatever, what I mean, like the dorks and the jocks or whatever you want to call it. Like our cliques were like the visual artists and the dancers and the creative writers. You know what I mean? It was a really eclectic way to grow up, and you
But I'm
hold
sure
on,
that
you
they
hold
were
on to
just
that.
as gossipy and bitchy about each other.
They
as
were, but in such a different way. In such a different way. And so as you get to 30,
more of an Oscar Wilde way. I
yeah,
guess, right?
absolutely.
Right.
It was way more poetic. The clicks were much more poetic about bashing each other. So you get to 30 and you realize
They just did it
that's
in
gone,
full
you know?
sentences with grammar.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, for sure. So I would say that 30 is adulthood, not necessarily old.
I think you just scored a lot of points with a lot of 30-year-olds out there right now. The new record is called Paper Walls. It's out July 17th. The MySpace is myspace.com/yellowcard. And you can go there and actually hear a couple of the tracks right off the bat.
Yes, and you can also still go to yellowcardrock.com, which
Yeah.
band websites are all but dead at this point also.
It's funny,
but
and
it's
that's
still
actually
there.
a whole other discussion. It really
Still
is.
holding on.
Yeah.
And actually, if I could say this too while
Please.
we're here, ycunderdogs.com is our e-team and street team, and we've moved our message board community over there. And I'll say exactly why very plainly, because I believe that it's, if you're going to have a community like that, it's best if it's a positive environment and it's a place where things are, productive and fans are talking about a band they like, not a band that they don't like. And we've always had such a great group of people at the YC Underdog site that we put the message board there. So you have to be a member to use it. And it's also a way, a kind of way to say if you want to be a part of that community, you should, join the street team. So swing over there to ycunderdogs.com and you get early. It's all that cool. You get early tickets and exclusive merch and all that kind of stuff. And you also you get to hang out with real Yellowcard fans that are supportive of the band. So anyways, yeah, myspace.com/yellowcard, yellowcardrock.com, or ycunderdogs.com.
And you won't have to deal with the visual artist click.
You won't.
Bad-mouthing you. Right.
You certainly won't.
Thank you so much for coming in. And you'll be touring all this summer, I imagine?
Yes, we're going to do 3 weeks on the Warped Tour. We start in Southern California and head across Texas and actually finish in our hometown in Jacksonville is going to be the last day. It's
great.
Which is really awesome.
Great way to do
2
it.
days after the record comes out. It's going to be really, really fun to be there for that. And then the rest of the year right now still is kind of an open book. We're just kind of waiting to see what falls into place.
Best of luck with it. And it sounds like just as a person, you're focused, you're centered, and you're healthy, and that's all that matters.
Thanks, man.
All right. Take care. AP podcasts are recorded at Lava Room Recording Studio in Cleveland, Ohio, a New York City quality studio at Cleveland prices. Check out www.lavaroomrecording.com. For more information on Alternative Press Magazine, go to www.altpress.com. The podcast engineer is John Walsh. Post-production assistance from Rob Hortensi. I'm Mike Shea, and this is all my fault. You can reach me directly at www.myspace.com/MikeSheaAP. That's SHEA like the stadium, AP.